What is going on, good peoples? It is a big weekend in college football. We have our conference matchups this weekend, this Saturday, starting at 4 o'clock with the SEC and then transpiring with the rest of the conferences after that. It's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be a good weekend. Before we get into the SEC matchup, I just want to give a moment to give appreciation to you guys for always checking out the videos, liking, commenting, subscribing. As always, I always appreciate it. And be sure to check me out on my social as well, MikeFalk_ on Twitter and Instagram. But without further ado, let's get into a little preview of Texas versus Georgia. Now, this is definitely a rematch from an earlier matchup this season. My predictions, I believe Texas will be able to pull this matchup off and also help solidify their chances of, making it to the college football playoffs. We know they're going to be in it. And to also just really add an extra layer of depth of, hey, we're already going to be in it, but add a little extra layer to, we're the SEC champions. We're definitely going to be in it now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And let me tell you why I'm picking Texas to win this game. And it really stems from that Texas A&M matchup, that rivalry game last weekend. Big game on the defensive front, and I believe that really stands out when you're going into these top matchup games. Defense, defense, defense. That defensive front for Texas really made a difference in that matchup, making the Texas A&M quarterback uncomfortable, which is probably the biggest thing. And I personally believe that's going to be the biggest factor for the Texas Longhorns as they go against Carson Beck and that Georgia Bulldogs offense. We've seen throughout the season that causing a little bit of pressure to Carson Beck, getting to him can make him a little rattled. We've seen in the Alabama game, Kentucky. There's been multiple times where if you can make him uncomfortable, he can make a mistake here and there. And I believe that's really going to be the biggest factor for Texas. Now, as far as offense with Quinn Ewers, they should know what to expect now. It's clear as day on film. They've got to be able to make the adjustments from the first time they played to the next time they played. They've got to make those adjustments, which I believe they can do. You know that defense front is going to stem. They're going to hop around and stem. That's the thing that they do to help allocate for the secondary in the back. That's how they help this defense front. And they're going to blitz you. I believe this time around, after sitting down, watching the film, making adjustments, Quinn Ewers will be able to figure out which way he wants to slide the offensive line based upon the pressure that is coming to him, which is going to be the biggest thing in this matchup, because Georgia is going to heat you up and they're going to blitz you. Now, in the instance of Georgia, it's going to be very important for that offensive line to take care of business. I know I'm talking a lot about the defensive line, the offensive line, but that stuff really plays a huge factor, because if you can't block, quarterback's under pressure. That's all she wrote. We've seen it time and time again throughout these big-time college football games. So it's going to be very important. And Georgia's definitely going to need to be able to establish that run game early and fast. They have the athletes to do it. And being able to establish that run game, because it makes everything open up from then on out for the game. And then last but not least, Carson is definitely going to want to be cool, calm, collective, and not uncomfortable. And if he needs to make plays with his legs in given pressured situations, whether it's the 4 down front or if Texas decides to come with a blitz and pressure him, he's going to need to make plays, move with his legs, and do a little bit more than he has been throughout this season. But I definitely believe there's been a lot of film that has been gathered, watched, and as we get closer and closer, they're making big preparations for this matchup at 4 o'clock Saturday. But let me know down in the comments what you guys are expecting for this game, who you predict to pull this matchup off. My prediction is Texas. They definitely just have to lock in and hold on very key, minute details in this game. Let me know down in the comments. This has been yours truly, Mike here at Mike in the Game, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
I'm pretty exact ass. What is it right here? Look at this. That's the exact ass.
I just had it in that folder, so when we need it, I'm gonna probably keep that folder on there.
What is going on, good peoples? It is yours truly, Mike, here back at Mike in the Game, and a lot of college football information has come out this week relating to the college football playoffs, the rankings, the seedings, a lot of information. And I'm going to tell you guys, as we learn more and more about it and we're getting closer and closer to it, it's kind of flawed. I'm just gonna be upfront with you, and I'm pretty sure most of you can agree that there's a lot of bits and pieces here that are flawed. And we're gonna get into it just a second, but I wanna just make sure I give you guys thanks and appreciation for always checking out the videos, liking, subscribing, everything that goes into it. It is greatly appreciated. Be sure to also follow me on my socials as well. On Twitter, MikeFalk_, and the same goes for Instagram too. But without further ado, let's get into today's topic of why I personally believe the college football rankings and the whole system of it all is flawed. The reason why I kind of say it's flawed is because it's kind of like all over the place, and it's to the point where certain losses don't matter anymore. Like, for example, we have teams like Alabama who lost to Vanderbilt, Notre Dame who lost to Northern Illinois, and other teams who have had significant losses. It has come to, right now it is looking like some of those losses don't matter anymore. Now I understand some teams should definitely win the games they're supposed to win, but some losses just don't even matter. Now, as far as our rankings that go right now, let me read them off to you. We got Oregon at number 1, Texas at number 2. Those two teams are automatically in. Penn State at number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, Georgia number 5, Ohio State at number 6, Tennessee at number 7, SMU at number 8, Indiana at number 9, Boise State at number 10, Alabama at 11, and Miami at number 12. So in this picture of thing, here's my thing. I understand that, Miami hasn't had a strong season, but at the end of the day, they are 10-2. Yes, granted, they may have lost games they shouldn't have lost, but if you're relating it to like a team of Alabama, that is also the issue as well, because they have 3 losses, which is why I say the system of everything is kind of flawed. Because if you're going to go by how many losses and then trying to say, oh, we're going to go based off of your strength of schedule, those two things technically kind of collide and go at it with each other in itself. I also see it's kind of flawed at how if you win your conference, you have an automatic bid into the playoffs. And personally, after discussing, I always discuss things with a couple friends, discussed that personally next year they shouldn't have it. If you win your conference, it shouldn't be an automatic bid. It should be based upon the eye test, your record, and strength of schedule, because I feel like that would help. That would also help kind of solve a couple issues and a couple problems going forward, because this year it's crazy how it's working, but it's all over the place. We have Clemson and SMU in the ACC championship. So let's check out this picture. Clemson is currently ranked number 17, while SMU is ranked number 8. So in this picture, you're telling me that a team has lost games that they shouldn't have lost, and they're now ranked number 17. If they beat SMU, who's had a better and more successful season, if they beat SMU, they have an automatic bid and they make it to the playoffs. That itself does sound crazy. That your season hasn't gone the way you intended it to, and you still have a chance. Granted, other teams definitely should have won, but it's just the simple fact that you now have a chance to still get into the playoffs is still kind of crazy to me. After, let's look, they've had 3 losses, and the losses that they have, they shouldn't have lost those games. That's why I think personally the automatic bid shouldn't be a thing. It should be the 12 best teams across the country based upon the eye test and going forward. And it also trickles down to some of what the issues that are going on with the SEC. A lot of teams have losses, and most of them are in very similar spaces. And it kind of goes to what Lane Kiffin had said a couple weeks ago. He's been very adamant about it on social media, that you almost don't want to play in the SEC championship game, because if you lose that game and you have a certain amount of losses already, you could, end your chances of making it to the college football playoffs. So in this scenario, Georgia has already 2 losses. Texas has 1. So let's say Georgia does beat Texas in this matchup. Texas only has 2 losses at that point. They still, in my personal opinion, still pass the eye test, and they still have only 2 losses to qualify for the playoffs and still be a top 12 team. Now, if the roles were to reverse and Georgia loses, now they have 3 losses. And I personally see that as now that you're on a very, not quite as similar, but you're on the level of Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, teams in the SEC who also have 3 losses. And on top of that, I also think as we go forward in how college football is constantly evolving year after year, they should make a point of emphasis that teams start playing other teams in different conferences so you don't have to worry about the situation. That's kind of been one of the biggest things and takeaways from this season. A lot of teams haven't really played anybody, and that's been a lot of the buzz around this whole entire season. You haven't played anybody, but you still have a good record. That was the thing about Miami. They haven't played anybody, but they have a good record. A kind of similar thing with Indiana. They haven't played anybody all the way up to Michigan. They pulled off a very close win against Michigan, lost to Ohio State. It should definitely make it a point of emphasis for these teams to start playing other ranked opponents, making it a necessity, or play other opponents in different conferences, because as we all know, the SEC and Big Ten are kind of the big heavy hitters when it comes to college football at this moment. There should be a lot more of those competitive matchups. So another example to this, Texas versus Michigan. Now, it's very smart on Texas' part because they played a Big Ten opponent and won in a very significant fashion. Now, let's say the roles were reversed. If Michigan won that game in a very significant fashion and had a better record throughout this season, things would have played out a little bit more. If they had lost maybe 1 or 2 games, that weight of the Texas game would have mattered a little bit more for them in that scenario. But this has just been a quick take for me for the past couple days. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about why I believe it's kind of flawed. I'm pretty sure a lot of people around the nation are commenting and saying why it's flawed. But let me know down in the comments your personal take and thought process on it. I definitely want to hear it, and I will catch you guys in the next one.